might be maybe a controversial question, but there are people obviously out there who say there are different versions of the Arabic Qurans.
No, listen, bro. Don't go down that road. Yeah, it's not that. First of all, it's not the time or the place to do it. Yeah, and that's a huge subject to go into. Yeah, I mean, very briefly, what the brother is mentioning is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In his time, there were different, like you Geordies. Yeah. You know, sometimes when you speak, it's like, what on earth is he saying? Could you speak English, bruv, please? You know what I mean? Or like if I hear one of my sons like puts on his proper South London thing, like, bruv, you know, it's like really wicked here, bruv. I literally remember my dad saying, Bilal, what are you saying? What are you? Well, Grandpa, I don't even, you know what? And I have to translate. Even I don't understand. Like, say half the time. Like, so literally. So you can imagine in the time of the Prophet, there were different accents, yeah, and some of those accents had different pronunciations, different emphasis, right? You know, so you might say yes differently, or instead of no, you say what? Nah, yeah, or nay, or like stuff like that, right? So the Prophet allowed the Quran to be read in 7 of those accents. There were 7 that he allowed. And the Prophet said it was revealed. So Jibreel taught him all of these different types of ways of being able with different accents. That's what you call it. Different sort of accents, really. That's what it was. Yeah. But to cut the whole story short, in the time of Uthman, people started, because Islam spread. Remember I told you before how quickly Islam spread? So this guy with this particular recitation and that guy with that one, they were teaching different things, and people started to argue, and they started accusing each other of, you're changing the Quran, you're a kafir, you're this and that, that, because they didn't understand these things. They just learned from their teachers, and then they met someone else who was reciting it differently, yeah, and they would have arguments. So again, they decided, this is not good. This is not a good vibe. Let us just unite the Muslims under one written, recitation. And that was the Qurayshi dialect, which is the one that the Prophet used to use the most, right? So this is when they gathered together all those different writings and this and that. And they'd already, by the way, put the Quran together before as one mushaf. But it was just there with Hafsa, who was the daughter of Umar ibn al-Khattab, and Hafsa was was one of the wives of the Prophet. Yeah, so she had this mushaf. She looked after it, and so basically Uthman said, "Look, let's get all these manuscripts. Let's unite the Muslims under one reading." Yeah, and this is what they did. And he got all these companions. In fact, the same committee. It was a committee actually run by Zayd ibn Thabit. Yeah, and they compiled the Quran again. Again, they did it, came up with exactly the same result, by the way, but this time they decided to destroy all the different bits and pieces that everyone had to stop any type of argument. And then basically they had this one, which was the same. They checked it, everything was the same. And then from that they made copies, and those copies were distributed throughout the Muslim world. And we pretty much believe that we still have a couple of bits of those copies left, some complete, nearly complete, a couple of those copies still existing today. Others is controversial with these manuscripts and stuff, right? So that's the story, yeah? Nothing was changed, right? So from the point of view of scholarship, I mean, scholars still know that those other recitations are known from just people studying and whatever, but no one uses them, right? They're just not, everything's based upon that original mushaf, right? And everything has to conform to that. This is different. Now, to make it more confusing, there are different styles of reading. Yeah? So this is different from the different accents in which the Quran was revealed. There are also different reciters who have different styles of reading, which is a whole different thing. Don't confuse the two things. Yeah? Okay? So those are different things. Yeah? So that's all it is, bro. Very, very briefly, for everyone's information, because you might hear this stuff going around. It doesn't mean the Quran has been changed. It doesn't mean that, whatever. It's not, like, Christians love to make it into something that it's just not. Because, it's not like what Constantine did, right? When he chose 4 gospels out of thousands of gospels, right? And like killed everyone else who had a different opinion. It wasn't like that. It's a very, very different story, or they'd like to make a comparison. It's not the same at all, yeah?